believe it? We have real football in 2 days.
You're listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast, an iconoclastic look at the latest Cleveland Browns news. The What the Elf Was That podcast is part of the Fanatical Elves podcast network, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Here's your host, Joel Cade.
Hey, everybody, welcome into What the Elf Was That? This is our weekly podcast where we ask, just that question. What the elf is going on with the Cleveland Browns? So with me today is John Suchan, the man, the myth, the master of the Fanatical Elves Sports Network. So I'm lucky enough to have him today. So John, how you doing?
Other than the technical difficulties that I seem to always have when I try to do a show with you, great.
It's me. I've cursed it. I've cursed your ability to do
No,
shows.
when you try to do too many things, that's kind of my life right now. My beautiful wife, Laura, is out of town. Hi there, Laura. Laura is the traveling guru. She's out in the San Diego area. So she's
Okay.
enjoying the sunshine of
Yeah,
California.
And
She's never coming
working?
back. Yeah.
She's working in San
Yeah.
Diego.
Yeah.
I
She
mean,
keeps
do you
sending me
have any-
pictures. She keeps sending me pictures of her food. She's at this conference where they're really they're working on all these dietary stuff and things like that because she's a Whole Foods manager, and
Okay.
Whole Foods, the company, is really into a lot of that, and so it's really cool.
Nice. She could have just asked for the vacation to San Diego. Be like, hey,
Right?
I want to surf too. Charlie, don't surf.
San Diego's the one
So-
spot I've not been there. Have you been there?
I almost had a chance to go to San Diego when I was in college. Actually, I was in graduate school, and I had I had written an essay for basically it's this libertarian study group because I'm a libertarian politically, and
Yeah.
they were gonna put me up, let me present my paper, pay for the whole thing as the student person,
Hmm.
the student scholarship, and all I had to do was fly out there, but it didn't work out for me because other reasons. But
Okay.
almost got to San Diego. But
Cool.
my goal in life one day, well, it used to be way back in the day. My goal in life was to get my PhD, teach at a college in San Diego, and surf every day.
Oh,
That
I
was
love it.
that was one of my goals when I was younger. And then I've never made it to San Diego. So
Now, one of your other goals that I've noticed is that you are a diehard Columbus Crew fan. Not only did he go to one game, he went to two games on either side of doing this wonderful podcast. I was impressed.
yeah, glory to Columbus, baby. Let's go, Crew. Let's go, Crew.
See, now I don't get into that because I have colleagues that love the Crew. And this morning they were talking about, I guess there was a game last night that they won, but they were complaining about. So they sound like Browns fans, but I think they're more optimistic because they're the Crew, right? I don't know.
So I'm an amateur fan. There is no way I could ever do a Crew podcast. I don't know enough about soccer to intelligently talk about it, but I'll say this: they're in the League's Cup, which is like this tournament they have with the Mexican League. So they're in
Okay.
this round robin thing, and two of the games that I went to were two of the games last week, Tuesday and Friday, where they're playing
Yeah.
each team in their bracket, and the winner of the bracket, so on and so forth, goes to the other tournament. And
Okay.
the Mexican League plays soccer a lot differently than MLS. And
Okay.
there's a lot of complaining. There's a lot of what I call LeBron's Jamesing out there, which is like, oh, I fell over, that kind of stuff. And I mean, one of the games, they all the Mexican team that was Toluca that were playing, they all just took turns arguing with the official. So one of them would argue with the official till they get a yellow card.
Yeah.
Then another one would argue with the official until they got a yellow card. Then
Yeah.
another, I mean, the official had to give out 7 yellow cards to 11 players in the game. It was ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy. You just want to see soccer, but instead you got acting and fake injuries. And I mean, I sat there and looked at one of the guys I was with there on Friday. I'm like, they spend more time arguing than they do playing the game. Just stop. Anyway, speaking of arguing, I bet the Browns fans have been arguing this week. I don't keep up on this, John, but I'm sure you do. So give me the what's what
You
on
don't
what
keep
people are
up on
arguing
this.
about in the Browns.
Wha-
No, I listened to what am I talking about? Press conferences, and I kind of try to keep up on what's happening
Yes.
within the team internally. So I don't keep up on Twitter I mean, I'll glance at it eventually, but I don't see all the
Yes.
cool stuff you do.
Well, the cool stuff is a lot of silly. Like Steve Gill always says, it's like the silly season, you know. And but the thing is, you know, Shador is starting Friday Night Lights tomorrow night or Friday Night
All
Lights
right.
for Shador Sanders.
So
I'm
let's jump
excited.
into that. Let's jump into that because I got some thoughts on this. But the
I do
question,
too. I have some
the
concerns. Yeah,
context.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead. You start, then I'll show you the
Well, one
context
thing,
why I'm
and
excited about.
I haven't seen the updates, but I was following it this morning because they're in Carolina and they're practicing now. It was
Okay.
announced that Shador's going to start, but reading through all the people that were following the practice and what they were actually doing, Shador wasn't getting still a lot of time with the ones at all. And the way that it was presented by Kevin Stefanski was that Shador would get the start. There would be some starters that would be playing, but he indicated like Jerry Judy, for example, and Cedric Tillman would not be playing. And so there's this big debate out there, especially in the national media, those that really want to are saying that they're setting this kid up for failure. So basically, because part of what's happening from the Carolina side is that the Carolina team is planning on playing the coach is playing his starters. So basically, Shador is going up against their number one defense with
Hmm.
probably a, a smattering of maybe a first teamer here, there, and primarily probably second teamers. Granted that he's only been really working out with those second teamers throughout this process, so I don't look at this the whole that way, but there are a lot of people out there that do. I'm just excited to see this kid get out there and throw the ball around. I think that he's learned, like I talked in my podcast last night, he has been under the tutelage and the son of Deion Sanders for this entire period. The kid knows
Hmm.
how to handle pressure, and I think that he's handling it very well. So
Right.
that's kind of
So I think what you're saying marks right into what my thoughts on this.
okay.
Right. I mean, to say that Shador Sanders is going to start that preseason game automatically told me he's not going to get any reps today against Carolina because that's who the Browns are. They do not care about these preseason games. For them, preseason games are just straight garbage time. Like it's just like you're down 40 points. Let's put everybody in here who would never play before, and that's who's playing in a preseason game, which I think is dumb. Like, how many times have we watched the first game of the season and we're like, this team is out of sync? They're not working together as a unit and they just look like they're behind. And that's because they don't play in these preseason games. You don't get into a rhythm. You don't get your offense running because you treat it like it's garbage time. And the Browns, I don't know, they just think they're smarter than everybody and like,
Well,
oh yeah,
that's
we know how
what
to handle these preseason games. We're
I agree, and that's
garbage time.
so. But some of the folks, and even some of our contributors here with the Fanatical Elves, have been talking about how things are changed up a little bit, and that Stefanski's doing a few different things this go around in preseason. They're having them tackling, they're doing some things,
Right.
and so there's been this thinking that going into this, maybe he would go with some starters, and it sounds like from how he talked about it in the pre-conference today before practice started that there would be, like I said, a smattering of first teamers. But again, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Joel. And this is the argument that Browns fans have had for a long time now with Stefanski and Barry. They think that they're smarter than all of us, and then the people that are supporting Barry and Stefanski are like, well, we're just dumb, stupid fans. We don't know anything about football, and they say, well, I believe I'll follow what those guys do, and I'm like, well, what's it got us so far? We were 3-14. Yes, we've been to the playoffs twice in 5 years, but I want to see some more. And
Well,
I
I'm glad
agree.
they're changing it up. I'm glad they're starting to hit more. I'm glad they're starting to let players do a little bit more before and after
Mhm.
practices to get more reps and stuff. They've been very much have like these players in a straight jacket in terms of like what you can do physically on the field because they're sports
Yeah.
medicine people who I think have just like ruined the Browns, these sports medicine stuff going on. But like I'm not one of those old school that should go out and hit every day, but on the other hand, you got to hit some, right? And it's
Yes.
the same thing with these preseason games. Like the first one, I'm not so worried about it. But if we get to preseason game 3 and the first offense isn't out there for a drive,
Yeah.
2, 3, like that's a red flag to me. So Shador Sanders starting, that to me signaled they're treating this game as garbage time. But
Mm.
I want to say this for Shador Sanders. This is exactly what he needs. He's working on the mechanics of the game right now. taking a snap, which he's struggling
Mhm.
with, calling a play in a huddle, which he's struggling with, the
Mhm.
rhythm of getting to the play to the line of scrimmage on time to read a defense, to make
Mhm.
adjustments, to adjust what the defense is doing so to get yourself in the
Mhm.
right play after or post huddle. These
Yeah,
are the mechanics that he's having problems with. If you throw him out there for 3 quarters, that's the best thing you could do for him. Just ship him out there. Like let him trial by fire. It'll probably be ugly, but at least we'll get to see it.
I
You
found
know?
somebody commented. Thank you very much, Jeffrey.
All right, thanks for the comment. Like, yeah, I don't know how to look at these comments.
It's
So
okay. I got it for you.
you
I'm the
got it.
technical wizard. Not really. We're just on this new platform and we're all learning. So, all right.
Well, I introduced you as the guru here. So well, hey, before we go on to the next topic, let's take a quick break. All right, take a quick break for our sponsors. All right, and we're back. So we were talking about Shador Sanders. Did you feel like you had everything you want to say
Yes.
about Shador Sanders? Okay. I also just beyond Shador Sanders, what do you want to see in this scrimmage,
Hmm.
and or what are people talking about they want to see in this scrimmage?
Well, the young kids and the rookies, the Carson Schwarzenegger, hopefully we'll get a good look at him on the defense. The linebacker will Mason Graham be out there? Our number, our first round pick at number 5. Some of the young players that we've, and beyond that, I mean, like Harold Fannin, the tight
Mm-hmm.
end. I really like to see what he looks like
Dylan
out there
Sampson.
compared to David Njoku. You've kind of when you've heard the tight end coach talking about a comparison between the two, he describes
Right.
Harold Fannin as kind of more of that H back and can slip out of the backfield. I think that's how they're going to use him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm just looking for, like you said, Joel, like rhythm and competency. There were some concerns this morning. Now it was raining today at their practice down in North Carolina. I think they're up in Raleigh practicing, and it was raining on and off. But a lot of people that I was looking at and reading about who were describing what happened today said that the offense looked sloppy, that the Carolina team looked better prepared and better on offense and defense. That their offense beat our number 1 defense
Okay.
in this practice today. There were several penalties called against us, similar to last year with the jumping
Miles
off.
Garrett jumping off
Yep,
sides.
probably. I'm sure he probably did. Who knows? But it's just stuff like that that I know we're a month away, and it's this whole fine line in talking about, like you just said, about preseason. I mean, the Browns don't give a flying hoo-ha about it, and then it's going to bite them in the butt come, when they start playing these regular season games. There's going to be a lot of buildup to that home opener. The other little thing that came up, and I don't know if you want to talk about this at some point, but the guys on 850 in Cleveland were discussing Kenny Pickett again. Their belief, or Nathan Zagura was talking about Kenny Pickett, and their belief on their show was that Kenny Pickett is going to be the starter day one. It's not going to be Joe Flacco, and that it better be sooner that they make that announcement, because Browns fans are going to become really pissed off because people like Joe. And I agree.
Yeah.
Like if they
Mm-hmm.
wait till that last week or something and don't announce it, and there are going to be a lot of upset Browns fans, 60,000 of them at the stadium going, why the hell are we starting Kenny Pickett when you got Joe right there? Joe Flacco, bring in Joe. I mean, Joe was
Right.
the last, he
Right.
finished the season 2 years ago throwing for 300 yards in 4 straight games. We haven't had a quarterback do that ever.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see them name a starter as soon as possible. It's either going to be Flacco or Pickett. I mean,
Who do you prefer?
you can't tell me who do I prefer. I don't know. To me, the first 6 games are placeholder games. I mean, I'm just waiting. You know, my personal opinions on quarterbacks. All right. So I guess I want the quarterback one that can like run the offense, hit the guys, hand the ball off, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That's who I want to start in week 1. It doesn't have to be the long-term guy. It just has to be the competent guy,
Mhm.
right? So if you've decided already to tank on this season, or at least punt this season to next year because you're like looking for a quarterback, you might as well just start with Pickett. You might as well just go out there and see what Pickett's got in 6 games against the meat
That's
of
some
the
of the
schedule,
that's
and
that's
see what you got.
that's the decision. Yeah.
All right, and then when you get to later in the season, like if you listen to Dylan Gabriel,
Mhm.
Dude is smart as all get out, right?
Mhm.
He understands the whole shebang. Like Shador is struggling with it, but Dylan Gabriel gets it. He's not perfect, but he gets it, right? The problem with Gabriel, he's like 5'10" and like has the a
Mhm.
noodle arm. I mean, like,
Mhm.
why can't you combine Kenny uh, Dylan Gabriel's mind with Shador Sanders' like body and
Yes.
physical attributes
Yes.
and do it? But Shador will get there, but it may be next season. It may be the
Mhm.
last half of this season. It may be the last
Mhm.
quarter of this season.
Mhm.
So Shador's that kind of kid that like you have to understand it's a project and work on it as a project, which I think the Browns are
Well,
doing, which is why the preseason game is where
yeah.
you start Shador. Get him some reps.
He's easily the most popular character with the Browns since Baker Mayfield and Jarvis Landry and all those guys showed up in
Which is
2018.
good and bad both.
Yes. Yes. So I will say this though, the characteristics of Shador at this age compared to Baker Mayfield and his, chip on his shoulder are far better and in tune with what we need as an organization. I told
Right.
I told Lou, and I don't know if you listened to Shador's conference the other couple days ago, but
I did.
he made that statement about again, and I've heard him say this before, but he says, "I like me. I like who I am." He said
Mm-hmm.
that for a 20 to 21-year-old to say that, I really and I believe him. I don't think he's pulling our legs. So I think that shows a lot of maturity and what we need. And I look forward to seeing what this kid can do. I hope that he has the tools and the skill set, but he has to learn these like the plays and
Right. I,
yeah.
I'll give my impression about that press conference. One, I think he is mature beyond his years in terms of
Mhm.
handling the media, handling the press, handling the pressure outside, handling all that stuff.
Mhm.
And that is half the battle of pro football, right?
Mhm.
Handling, especially at the quarterback position, is handling all that. He also looked like a deer in the headlights when he was talking about football. And he also, I think, understood that he is a deer in the headlights when it's talking about pro football because he was like, I told my dad not to come because I'm not where I need to be.
Right.
And I thought that was like the best thing he
Did you
said. At
think
least he thinks he understands that he's not where he needs to be. And that's a
well,
positive.
no, it is the observation I made too with that, and I've watched and listened to him for a while, like a lot of us. I thought that press conference and how he's been answering questions, you can almost sense that he sees how big it really is. That he kind of
Hmm.
came in still with a positive flow, all that stuff, but that what he has to do, like you said, and learn the playbook and be able to do these things, it's a big task. And I think you can almost sense a little overwhelmingness in
Right.
how when he talked about his dad, but at the same time, I think if he keeps working at it, people are seeing that growth, which I didn't know. Like that's been the argument with him, coming into the draft because he slipped to the fifth round, and people talked about this because he was honestly he was projected in the first or second round. Do you think? Let me ask you this, because I know some of our colleagues in the Fanatical Elves talk about the quarterback class, and some people say, well, this quarterback class that Shador was drafted in with Cam Ward sucks, and I'm like, how can you? And I said this on my show again. How can we say this about a quarterback class when we haven't still played football? We're
So yeah, I'm with you on this. I mean, I know scouts come out and say all kinds of stuff. Scouts say things about people and oh look, this guy can jump out of a pool and land on his feet, and you draft him and he can't play football. This is why I have very little discussion for scouts, right? Like, yeah, guy, he looks like Hulk Hogan. Okay, great. Can he play football? Like, that's all I
Mhm.
want to know. Can the kid play football? Yeah, there are certain height, strength, arm speed, that kind of thing. But once you meet the bare minimum, to me, the question is, can you play football? And, we don't know about this quarterback class because let's be honest, there are more air raid offenses in college than there used to be. Air raid quarterbacks
Mhm.
take a long time to develop. We don't know Patrick Mahomes sat an entire year. And I know that's the thing. Jordan
But
Love sat a while
people
too.
will use
So
the
you have
argument.
to learn. You
Mhm.
have to learn football.
They'll use the argument that Cam Ward wasn't even on anybody's radar at the beginning of last season. There were other guys that were higher ranked going into the draft class a year
Hmm.
ago, and thus, therefore, this draft class sucks, and I'm like, or the quarterbacks in this draft class suck, and I just can't understand that logic. It's not logical to me when you haven't seen these guys play professional football.
Well, look, man, everybody wants clicks, man. And if you're gonna come out here and say I'm the guru, then you got to make statements that get people to look at your stuff. I would take a more reserved approach, which is why I don't get clicks. It's just to say, look, let's play it on the field. Let's watch him play football. Like I was a big Shador guy. Like I wanted
Yes.
Shador Sanders.
Yes.
Period. I was on the Shador bandwagon. But I knew as soon as you drafted him, it was going to be this because he was not in an offense that really taught him how to play football at a professional level. So you know that you're going to have to work hard to do that, you know. And from all I hear, Shador Sanders is putting in the work, right? He comes in before practice and throws. He does his work during practice. He stays after practice and throws.
He does.
I want to know because I know he had that shoulder tightness, and that was a kind of a learning curve for him on how to stay loose while not getting reps. I wonder how much of that behind the scenes stuff he knows and how much of that he's learning. As where Dylan Gabriel's got that stuff down. Just listen to one of his interviews. He's got that stuff down, you know. And I got some comments about Dylan Gabriel, but I don't know if they're appropriate. But have you ever watched Beavis and Butthead, John?
Yes.
Have you seen this show? Okay.
Yes.
So like to me, and you can tell me to stop if you want me to, Dylan Gabriel looks like a Hawaiian butthead. Like he's like the coiffed hair and a kind of the face. He just kind of looks like Butthead. And he's like, yeah, it's just funny. I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at Butthead. What am I looking at? Like, all we need is like a blonde haired quarterback to go, yeah. I mean, maybe that's Kenny Pickett. I don't know. Maybe we got Beavis and Butthead on
What was
the team,
the Sunshine Kid? What was that movie with Denzel Washington years ago? The football. The Tide.
Radio?
No.
Any Given Sunday?
Not that one. Gosh, it was on the tip of my tongue.
I don't.
Never mind. If I think of it, I'll let you know. Oh, Titans. Remember the Titans.
Oh, remember the Titans.
Remember
okay.
Sunshine, California? Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, nothing against Dylan Gabriel. Like, he's got the mental part. Like, he's working the mental part much better than Shador is working the mental part. I think he has the skills to learn that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Shador has those skills to learn the mental part because he's never had to learn it. So is he out there reinventing the wheel on how to call a play, on how to do some of these things? And are they giving him
Jeffrey
that kind of
agrees
background?
with you about Dylan.
Butthead?
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be.
Thank you,
Butthead
Jeffrey, for watching today on YouTube or wherever you're watching us from. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. I'm glad
and
you
download
like
us
the
on
Butthead
Apple and
thing,
Spotify. That's where we make all the big sense.
Yeah, that's where we make our most senses on Spotify. Not on this. We make it most sense on Spotify.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's transition to the next topic.
Yes.
Let's talk about the quarterback that the Browns signed. Do you remember who this is, Mr. Tyler Huntley? All right, hold on.
I'm actually a Ravens fan.
Go to hell.
Let's bring up Tyler Huntley because for me, Tyler Huntley will always be a Ravens quarterback because of the stupidity that went down with this guy making the Pro Bowl. So for those of you who don't know, Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl as a Ravens quarterback. And it was one of those wacky years where like everybody who got elected to the Pro Bowl decided like, screw this, I'm not doing it. I think it was one of those, like the first year it wasn't in Hawaii. So players were mad that it was in Orlando and not Hawaii. So they're like, I'm not doing this Pro Bowl thing. We're not going to Hawaii for the all expense paid vacation. We're not doing this. And so it went down the list of quarterbacks, and eventually Tyler Huntley had the most votes, so he got a chance to go to the Pro Bowl. The question
that's kind of how he
is,
probably feels today with the Browns being the sixth guy in the total. I mean, if you count Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, he's got to be thinking, hey, I'm making the Pro Bowl this year. He's going to be thinking this is a Pro Bowl year for him. So do you know how he got the votes to make it to the Pro Bowl?
No.
Do you know this story? Okay.
No.
So what happens is the players vote for the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
So the idea is that the players will come out and be like, okay, we're going to vote for like the players we played against and who's really, this is one of those, like the players are going to be honest and it's going to be a fair thing and you're going to get the right, but this is not what happens in Baltimore. In Baltimore, it becomes a popularity contest, right? So the first person you vote for quarterback is Lamar Jackson. The second person you vote for is the backup, Tyler Huntley, right? And then you like vote for other backups to try
Yes.
to lower the votes of everyone else in the league so that the
Okay.
Ravens that you're voting for make the Pro Bowl. So it turns out the Ravens team all voted for Tyler Huntley. And so they went down enough quarterbacks that his name was beyond people like I think Baker Mayfield that year. I think
Yeah, I
quarterbacks
kind of
who
remember that.
literally
Being, it
should
was a
have
weird.
been
It was a weird
Yeah.
announcement. We were like, "What?" Yeah.
like people who should have been at the Pro Bowl weren't because they voted in mass for Tyler Huntley. And so he leapfrogged a bunch of people who deserved
the-
it when he's just some backup who
They're the
played like
Ratbirds.
garbage.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a
Ratbirds.
total Ravens thing to do, right? We're gonna
Ravens.
buck the system and vote for ourselves.
Jeez.
So Tyler Huntley, I expect him to play Friday.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I expect him
got-
to play.
Said that is it let's see, he made our friend Jeff is saying, I feel bad for the man. He comes in and people are freaking out, but it takes some reps today. People are freaking out. Yeah, I guess he did take some reps today. So, but he's not starting. Shador is. So,
Right. I expect him to play. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't think they're gonna play Flacco because they want him. I don't think they're gonna play Kenny Pickett. There's the thumbs up, baby. I don't think they're gonna play Kenny Pickett. And unless Dylan Gabriel is completely 100% healthy, I don't
No,
see
they're
them
not.
playing him either.
I think they've already said
So-
they're not playing him. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just Shador. So unless
Yeah.
you want to play him the entire game, you had to get a backup.
Yeah.
And how is there a Pro Bowl quarterback sitting
I
out there
saw
for
him out
anybody
there.
to
Well, I
hire?
saw
to
him
hire?
out, we talked about, you're talking about him now, but I remember looking at the list a few weeks ago of the guys that are sitting on their couches right now. And he was one of them. Teddy Bridgewater too was out there. But now he's signed. He's down in Tampa Bay. I feel bad for that guy. Here he is coaching, voluntarily coaching some high school group.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's getting like all sorts of crap thrown his way by people that are just morons. So, and he just
Yeah, he's
came
out there
today.
trying to help these kids out, and like
Yeah.
then he's getting in trouble
Yeah,
for
you
it.
and
Like,
I are both in the social
good Lord.
services and the education. So it's like you got somebody who's just trying to help out. He's got money, let him help out. Like, it's just crazy.
that's some insane stuff. For anybody who's listening to this, what we're talking about, Teddy Bridgewater was under hot water as a high school
Yeah.
coach because he was helping to pay for kids' lunches, wasn't it? And like rides to school. and,
Yes.
like crazy stuff that like should be
rough
taken care of.
neighborhood, kids,
Mhm.
struggling and they need support. And he was willing to do that. And he wasn't getting paid for the role that he was in, supposedly.
And he's
not that he
coming to
needs
stepping up to the plate to help these guys.
I always
Like,
liked Teddy
everybody's getting mad at
Bridgewater. I always wanted him to be with the Brownies. Even from the time that he was drafted, I always thought maybe the Browns would do that, or maybe even bring him in as a free agent years ago. But that never happened.
He used to play for the Panthers. You know,
Okay,
John, I have a
okay.
lot of friends in Carolina, so they
You
they give me
do.
this
That is
Carolina
true.
Panthers helmet. So
Carolina
I
is a
kinda keep
cool
this
town.
around.
Charlotte's a cool area. My wife lived there for a while when her kids were little, and it's a nice community. I'm sure you've been down there. It's really
Oh,
just
I've
a
been there
nice,
plenty of times.
really nice area. It's
I have
city,
I have a son that lives in the well, he used to live in Charlotte, but now he lives over by I think they call it the Triangle over there in
yes.
North Carolina. He lives in
I
the
think that's where
Triangle.
they're doing these joint practices with the Carolina and the Browns. They're up in Raleigh.
Yeah,
I
he
think.
lives in the Triangle. He works at an Amazon situation up there. He's a manager up there. Just
Was almost in a Super Bowl. Let's see here. Kicker could have made a field goal. He would have been. Oh, that's okay. What team was he
kickers.
playing for? What team was that, Jeffrey? What team was he on that could have gone to the Super Bowl? I'm trying
Kickers,
to
man,
remember.
kickers.
Hate them kickers.
You know,
In Phil
Tyler
we
Huntley-
trust, though. In Phil we trust. Phil Dawson.
speaking of the Columbus Crew from earlier, right?
Yeah.
I kept joking to the people around me like, this is like a minor league system for pro kickers. I mean, all you got to do is tell them instead of kicking it under the bar, they got to kick it over the bar, and then we'll be good.
You
Just-
think,
just,
the fact that the Haslams own them and they own the Browns, that maybe that eventually they'll find somebody that they'll invite to a Browns camp in the future, and he could be our future kicker.
I mean, they
Can't
just
do any
put
worse than
Diego
the guys that
Rossi.
we've had.
Right, just put Diego Rossi in a uniform, man. Throw him out there, and he does those corners. He bends that ball. You could
Yeah.
put him in a corner. He could kick a field goal up and make it through the field goal.
Teddy Bridgewater was playing for the Vikings that game, and they.
See, I was gonna say it was the Vikings, right? But
Thank you,
I mean,
Jeffrey.
good, Jeffrey.
We
Fan of
appreciate the
show,
fandom
baby.
and helping us fanatical elves out here on What the Elf Was That with Joel Cade.
Yeah, well, and John Shuchan. Don't credit yourself, man. You
Well,
gotta credit yourself.
I do what I can. I did give you.
All
I
right.
did give you. I will say this: if you listen to my show from last night, I didn't mention your show up front when I mentioned everybody else's, but about 3 minutes later, I did slide you into my discussion, and I apologized to you on my show last night. So just to clear the air, even though you're not going to listen to it.
John, you have all kinds of interesting things to say.
Well,
That's all I'm saying. You have all
that's what
kinds
I'm
of
here
interesting
for.
things to say.
I'm here for the entertainment value. I'm known in these parts and at where I work, my other day job for the same reasons. So I try to provide
Yeah,
laughter.
yeah. All right. Yeah. Unless you got anything else you want to talk about, I mean, I am interested in seeing how the offensive line pulls because uh, somebody, I forget who it was talking about they're starting to skip pull as opposed to straight turn their shoulders and pull.
Yeah.
That ought to be interesting. I'm not a fan of skip pulling, but we'll see what happens.
Well, you've had a
If their
lot of
goal is to get a
experience.
field,
You've played the game, so I think that's what some
mhm.
fans who are watching us don't know like that about you. That that would be something really interesting to hear, like because kind of what they're working on.
So what they're talking about is when an offensive lineman, particularly a guard, like a left guard, get
Left
that?
guard.
Left guard will pull. There's a couple ways to do this. You can turn your shoulders and run parallel down the line of scrimmage. That often gives you more power, but you sacrifice kind of the ability to adjust on the fly to do
Hmm.
that. So you're looking down the line, you're looking to hit the first guy down the line, but somebody could wrong step you and get inside of you. So you got to be careful, like to have your head on a swivel and control where you're going. The
Hmm.
other way to do this is to kind of skip pull, which means you leave your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. You kind
Hmm.
of take a step back, literally hop step around either the center or the center and the following guard, and
Hmm.
then run up field. So it's a
Okay.
difference between am I trying to block downfield versus kick out on the line of scrimmage.
Right.
I could see the pulse of the skip steps happening if they decided to go back to the old style
Uh,
um, outside zone rules where if you're uncovered, you pull. That used to be the rule, but then teams found out you could just slip right behind the pulling guard and make the play. Um, so they stopped doing that. But the original outside zone had the uncovered linemen pulling, including centers. You can find Oregon back in the day doing this all the time.
okay.
But I'm interested to see how this works out. Like, when are they doing a full on like a full on skip step pull versus a traditional turn your shoulders
So
line of
you
scrimmage
look at
and
you can
blast
see
somebody?
that when they're playing, right? That's
Oh yeah,
you're
absolutely.
watching for that.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Only find that
I
here on the Fanatical Elves Network, by the way.
There you go, John. So it just depends on what you're watching. Like, I mean, I've written articles over the years on how to watch football. Maybe we
Hmm.
should talk about that next time. Is like, how do you
Yeah,
watch a football game? I mean, if you got a few minutes, we can talk about that right now.
I got all the time in the world, Joe.
All right,
Considering
we'll
I was
dedicate five
late.
minutes to this. We'll dedicate 5 minutes to this. All right. So the problem with watching football on TV is the fact that it's still being broadcast in the same way it was in the 1960s. The game has evolved since
Hmm.
1960, but the way it's broadcast has not evolved. Now, the XFL has done a pretty good job of moving that forward, and college
Hmm.
football has kind of taken over the old XFL
Hmm.
with the cameras on the strings. But
Yes.
back in the 60s, it was a running football game. So the point was to watch the football. So the quarterback was either giving the ball or throwing the ball. So the cameraman always wanted to have the camera on the football.
Hmm.
So that's how it's still broadcast. So when you see, the ball snapped, it's on the quarterback. Well, most of the action is taking place other places.
Hmm.
So the average fan,
Hmm.
can either continue to watch the ball, which is dumb because you're not seeing anything that's actually going on, or you could just choose to say, okay, I'm not going to see everything, but let's see what I want to see. So you could try to watch the linebackers back, which would
Yes.
be like the defensive secondary. That
Right.
will give you, because if you watch the linebackers back and watch the secondary, you will see receivers come into the screen and you can
Yes.
see their routes develop and you can see how the defensive backs react to it and
Hmm.
the defenses they're playing in. Another thing you could do is watch the offensive defensive line. That will tell you if it's going to be a pass, run, and then
Hmm.
if you can like watch the pass sets you can watch the individual matchups.
What do you
or all the
normally look
matchups as
for
a
if it's a
whole.
pass for the Brownies? What are we looking
So
for?
you want the line to move backward. If it's a straight pass, at the snap of the ball, the line will move backward. That'll tell
Mhm.
you it's a pass. So the savvy fan can say, "Oh, line's going back." Then flip your eyes real quick to the linebackers so you can watch that part of the game. Or
Okay.
if the Browns are on the line of scrimmage and the ball is snapped and they go forward, that's when you want to keep watching and look at the whole line because it's going to be like straight up and down your screen, right?
It's
And
going to be a
start looking
run.
for where holes are. Yeah.
And
Or what you can
which
do is you can
Jerome
flip
Ford
back.
can't find.
Correct. Correct. Watch a game like this and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you could watch the line and look for the hole, or you could flip back and look at the running back and look where the running back is looking.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you see the helmet one way or another, you can tell where the running back is looking. And then you ask yourself, what's the running back looking at? So when the hole is here and the running back is looking here, you're like, what is he doing? You know,
Yeah.
what's he looking at? Which is the question for running backs. What's their vision like? What are they looking at when they do things? So,
Still asking the
you
question
can
about
watch
Jerome
Jerome Ford. You can watch Jerome Ford overrun the hole. You can watch Jerome Ford decide, oh,
Run
look,
out of
there's the hole. Let
bounds.
me
Run
cut
5
back
yards
out of
back.
cut backwards and like go back to where the defenders are. Or I mean, that guy is like a walking 5-yard loss every time he gets on the field.
Right.
But occasionally,
He'll break
when
off
you're
one
not
for
running
60, and then
when you're
people are
running a
like,
power
"Whoa."
scheme. Now, when Ford knows exactly where he's going, so let's say the Browns run like a power play where they wall off the front side, the backside guard pulls, opens up
Yes.
this big hole like the jaws of life,
Yeah.
and Jerome Ford knows I'm running to that spot. That's where he does best. The problem is every other team in the NFL knows that,
Knows that.
so that's why the Browns are trying to replace him. That
Yeah.
was the idea with Quinshon Judkins. We need a guy who can do both
We haven't
power
heard a lot about
and
Quinshon
zone.
Judkins either. Like on his return, it's.
I don't know what's going on with that. I got a couple takes on that. One, the team knows he's guilty of sin and they don't want to touch it. I mean, that's a real possibility.
I
Or
agree.
two, they don't want to sign the contract because in case there's the balloons again. In case somebody is in fact extorting him, right?
Uh-huh.
So if somebody is extorting him, they don't want him to sign his rookie deal because then all of a sudden he has money to pay these people and be extorted. So one of
Right.
two things could be going on.
Are you talking about
And I will agree, Jeffrey, Ford does have better vision than Trent Richardson.
Trent
That guy was a
Richardson
complete train wreck.
did not expect to hear his name today on the podcast.
Yeah, that guy is complete train wreck. I mean, you can
Drafted
see
in the first
there
round,
were-
number 3 pick, I
Oh
believe,
my
by the
gosh.
Brownies.
And I think they got a first round pick for him. Like,
Yes,
he
I
stunk
believe
it up
so.
for 2 years. And they got a first round pick for him. That was incredible stuff right there. I don't know who got the picks for him, but that was incredible. So yeah, it depends on how you're watching the game. Let's go back to all this, right?
Yes.
Depends on what you want to watch with the game. Do you take your cues from the offensive line or
Yeah.
defensive line, or do you want to take your cues from, say, the linebackers? Are they running in? Is it a run play? Are they going back? Is it a pass play? It depends on how you look at it. But the one thing I would tell you is stop watching the quarterback. That's pointless. You're going to miss the whole thing.
Now, in
Stop watching the
Browns-
quarterback.
On the Browns defense, Jim Schwartz's defense, it does not rely on the linebackers traditionally, correct? That's what everyone says. That he only normally plays 2, so it's going to be Carson, Schlesinger, probably the middle. They call him the middle linebacker, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's what we're hearing. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so Schwartz's defense is the gap control scheme. You can play 2 different kinds of defensive line. You could play double gap schemes where you line up and you fire into the offensive lineman, read the offensive lineman, hold your ground, find out how they're trying to block you, make a move and move into the hole. That's what Mason Graham did at Michigan.
Okay.
And he's very, very good at it. Very good at it. Isaiah McGuire did the same thing at Missouri, and he's very good at it. Okay. But Schwartz's scheme is about, if I'm Mason Graham, I'm responsible for either the A gap, the B gap, or the C gap. Most likely the A gap. Depends on how the line is shifted toward strength or weak. Depends on what shade he's in. Okay.
Okay.
So if he's responsible for the B gap, then his job is to get into the B gap, penetrate, and try to create problems. When you have that kind of front, the linebackers also take gaps.
Yeah.
So you can't have 4 linemen take up 8 gaps or 6 gaps. So
Yeah.
the linebackers have to get in on the situation.
Okay.
So the middle linebacker will be responsible to kind of read blocks and then get into the right gap
Mhm.
to make a play. I find this frustrating. I'm old school. I would rather
Yes.
just line up and double gap it, and I think
Yes.
it makes a lot more sense because your linebackers are running free. Anytime you get into a 3-4 scheme like Baltimore runs,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing. They're just getting the biggest, fattest guys in there and trying to make them take up two
So
blockers.
we don't
So
do a
someone
three.
like Ray
Are
Lewis,
they a 4-3 or we a wait? What do they run?
we're a 4-3 scheme because we have 4 down linemen and 3
Yeah, yeah.
linebackers. Baltimore runs a 3-4 scheme. Pittsburgh runs a 3-4 scheme. You get 3 big fat guys to take up as many
Yeah.
offensive linemen as possible
And
and
then you get
have
the
those
other
4
4.
linebackers just run free.
Yes. Why is Schwartz this way? Because it's
Well, the
not
4-3 is a more it's a more run heavy, stop the run heavy
okay.
defense.
Okay.
Okay. So you have defensive ends that are dedicated to stopping the run. So the
Mhm.
3-4 started
Mhm.
out as an Eagles front, but then they take those linebackers off, and that defense is primarily designed to stop the spread. So it's a
Yes.
more pass friendly kind of or poor pass appropriate kind of defense. The
Yes.
4-3 was originally by Tom Landry invented the 4-3 for the purpose of stopping the wing T. That
Okay.
has since kind of evolved over the years. Actually, that was the
Yeah.
4-4 that Landry invented. That's eventually evolved to the 4-3 with more defensive backs to try to address the passing
Yeah.
game through that front.
Wow.
So it just kind of it depends on what your basic scheme is. Most 3-4 defenses rush 4 anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the
Okay.
difference?
Well, that's very good. I'm learning. I'm
So
learning.
I'm going to
Joel.
address this for Jeffrey real quick. He
Yeah.
was talking about the free safety standard over top and doing nothing. Everybody complain about the free safety, and all the free safety do is defensive scheme is watch over the top and make a tackle, and that's it. A lot of defenses do that. At least he's not standing 50 yards down the field like Greg Williams had him going.
Yeah. And
Remember that?
And he found. Do you think he can move the defensive end?
I think Mike Hall is a perfect defensive tackle. He had 3 technique to sit right next to Mason Graham as a 0 or a 1 technique. I think
Okay.
that's the future of the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Okay.
think he's going to defensive end. I think he's going to be a defensive tackle, but he's going to be like an Aaron Donald
So
type
defensive
3
end,
technique.
Isaiah McGuire, you mentioned Alex Wright was listed as the number 1 on the depth chart this week.
So Alex
So-
Wright's an interesting take because
You and I
he
both
came in-
love Isaiah McGuire.
I love
Alex,
Isaiah McGuire.
Yeah,
I
No,
love
you're talking
Isaiah
about
McGuire.
Alex Wright.
Alex
Alex
Wright
Wright
came
from
into the league.
Baylor, right? No,
Yeah.
UAB, University of Alabama.
I believe
Birmingham.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Who
he came
actually
in-
played in the band and played, I think, like the trombone, by the way. Just a shout out to all those band guys out there.
Okay, good for him. He came out from another 3-4 double gap scheme, but his technique was not as refined as Isaiah McGuire's was coming out. So he's had to learn. And Wright has been on the team longer than McGuire right
Yeah.
now. So
Right.
he's a kind of a thing. He's doing what we want Shador to do. We want him to learn, take the time, develop, and become a solid defensive.
I think it says
defensive
something
player.
like Isaiah McGuire. You and I both talked about him for 3 years now. I mean, he's really come along, and he could be the starter in week 1. And I think it just speaks volumes about this kid and his work ethic.
Mhm.
And
I think McGuire's better at the run, so I think we'll see him in early downs against like
Okay.
traditional run downs.
yeah,
And I think Alex Wright, who's probably a little bigger and faster and probably more able to rush the passer.
mhm.
So I mean, when they talk about rotating players through, I would
Mhm.
expect to see McGuire and Wright.
It worried me though today
based
in the
on
practice. And I know
positional.
it's just practice and preseason, but when they're talking about our defense got schooled by the Carolina offense, in this practice, I know it's
Well,
just practice.
I don't want to get on Carolina too much, but I think Carolina is one of those teams that's going to surprise people. The defense will need a lot of work
Yeah.
at Carolina, but they got some players. And at defensive
Mm-hmm.
tackle, they got to work on their end position. Middle linebacker's been a
Who's
struggle
their,
for them.
yeah,
but
the
they've been
quarterback's Bryce
transitioning.
Young. I mean, he's
Bryce Young, and they've drafted. I think they drafted McMillan. I think it was Tate McMillan. That isn't right.
Oh yeah, okay. Wide receiver from Texas.
No, I know they drafted 2 receivers 2 years in a row.
Okay,
Tatoria McMillan. I
Okay.
think that's one of them. They got a big body guy the year before, and I think if Bryce Young, who got benched, took a step forward, if he starts to actually develop and become a good, decent quarterback, I think
Yeah.
they're going to be a pretty good team in a division that they could surprise in. So I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina doesn't come out and make some noise this year.
Mhm.
I know my friends in Charlotte will be happy about that.
Oh,
But I
good.
do think they can. Just depends on what they can do on defense. They had one style of defense set up, and then they're transitioning to a new style of defense.
Okay.
So they're struggling with it, but this may
Hey,
be the year they turn it around.
Joel, I see your miniature Browns helmet, which is really cool, and right behind your shoulder
That one
there. Yes, I have a colleague from
or
that one right there.
that one.
Well, both are
That
pretty
one.
cool. I have a colleague that he takes old helmets that he has. He's been a football coach for years, and he'll make them up. He'll paint them. Shout out to Bruce, my buddy Bruce from Wichita, Kansas, and so he made me up the alternative, or the alternate helmet that just came out.
The Alpha Dog helmet.
Yes, I'm so excited. He just mailed it today or yesterday, so we'll have to show that on an upcoming episode.
Nice. Well, John, let's call it a show here. I want to thank everyone, especially was it Jeffrey that kept commenting. Appreciate that.
That's
So,
awesome, Jeffrey.
any
Thank you
last-
for following us.
any
Well,
last
I'm just
minute
excited
comments?
about Friday. I think, the sky's the limit for this kid. It's a learning curve. I just want to see this kid, what he looks like in a Cleveland Browns uniform. I'm looking forward to seeing what these other guys can do for our new Cleveland Browns team this season. We go into a season with a lot of hope, and we're Browns fans, so we love our team.
Yeah, I wouldn't ride too much on what Shador does Friday. I think the point here is to get him into a rhythm.
He can't lose. That's what they were saying on
doing-
850. It's like he can't lose, because if he goes out there and he doesn't do the greatest, people will blame the Browns because they didn't give him enough time, and they'll say that they didn't give him enough reps. But I just exciting to see what happens. I think the
I mean, this
fans
is
are
where
going
he's
to
going
be.
to get his reps.
Friday is going to be fun. Browns fans will be watching, and
I
the
wouldn't
highest
get your hopes
rated
up too much.
preseason game ever. Do you remember
Yeah, we'll
Deshaun
see.
Kaiser, your buddy Deshaun Kaiser, Notre
Oh
Dame?
my gosh.
Not to bring back a
Yeah.
bad memory, but the Browns that season
He
rolled
should
with
have stayed in
Deshaun
college,
Kaiser,
man.
4-0 in preseason,
He should have
and
stayed
then
in
they
college.
go
Deshaun
0
Kaiser wasn't ready.
16.
Deshaun Kaiser was not ready. He should have stayed in college. Could have led Notre Dame to a good season. Go Irish.
Go
And then
Irish.
instead he goes out and I don't know what they're all talking about. All right, man. Hey, thanks. Next week we'll be back same time.
Thank you for listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast. Please like, subscribe, and tell all your friends to give a listen. You can follow host Joel Cade on Twitter @TheLeftGuard.